speak. Right? And they're laying these accusations. And then, as you said, what does she say after that? Or what gesture does she make? She points to the baby. So they're asking very specific questions. And now they're laughing. What? You expect us, a baby, to speak? You've completely lost your mind. You know, what's happened to you? So what happens? Who can tell me? What does he say? What's the first thing he says? What does that mean? So again, what is he doing first? Dawah. First he's clarifying who Allah is and who He is. Indeed, I am the slave of Allah. Dawah. I'm the creation, He is the creator. I'm the slave, He is the master. Not answering the allegations of what happened. Dawah. And that is the role of a da'i, to focus on calling to Tawheed first. No matter what the question's asked, yes, you can answer the question, but make sure you don't get sidetracked, focusing on these small points that are not as important as the main goal, which is calling people. So, where did Adnan get to on the GORAP? He got to O, yes? G. We're going to use an example of someone called Ben. You passed it, all right? I'm going to test you. So Ben, you've met him on the street here in Durban, and he's an atheist. He says, I don't believe in God. What arguments can you show that Allah exists? The man with the red underpants. Yeah, so he describes it, yeah? So very quickly, what he says is, look, imagine me and you, Ben. I want you to imagine a scenario. Me and you, we're walking in the Sahara Desert. We're on holiday in Arabia. And what's happened is we've gone on one of those tours. You know those tours where you get on the bike, right? So we've gone, but what's happened is we've lost our way. We've overturned. Our bike's not working. And now we've lost our tour group. So now when we look, we can't see anyone, right? We're in the middle of a desert. And we don't have our phones with us because, you know, we were told to keep that in a safe location because you would just lose it. We don't have anything. There's no way of communicating. All we see is desert around us. So then we think, what are we going to do? How are people going to find us? You know? So then we start walking in a certain direction, say, okay, let's go this way. Maybe this will... Eventually if we go straight, we'll find somewhere. So we start walking. And as we're walking, and it's so hot, the sun is shining, the sand is, you know, really hot on our feet, that we see a glimmer from the distance of something sticking out in the sand. So we go and investigate, and it's not a mirage, it's actually a mobile phone. In fact, it's the iPhone X, right? So we pick it up, and we switch it on, and we realize it's got power. And it's also got a signal. So we quickly send a message to our tour guides, our friends, saying we're stuck. They said, okay, turn on the GPS. So we turn it on, and they say, okay, send us your signal, send us your location, and we send it, and they say, don't worry, we'll be there in a couple hours. We're a bit far, but don't worry, just hold tight, we'll be there. And you say, Alhamdulillah, right? You're a believer. But then, imagine Ben, who's a disbeliever. He says, and you both think this thought, like, how on earth did this mobile phone end up in the middle of the sand, in the middle of nowhere? Now, Ben has obviously an atheistic understanding. So what he says to you, he says, oh, it's simple, it's obvious. We're in the desert. It's full of sand. Under the sand, and we're in the Sahara, is oil. We know Sahara is full of oil. And also there's natural elements. So when I look at this phone, it's made of glass, it's made of plastic, it's made of natural elements. So what happened was, it's obvious, the sun heated up the sand because glass comes from sand. It bubbles the oil because plastic comes from. So what you had was, you had this heating during the daytime and you had this cooling during the night. And you would have sandstorms predominantly. You have heating, cooling, sandstorms. And after millions and millions and billions of years, this iPhone X came into existence. And now that's the explanation for this iPhone X. If he said that to anyone, what would be the conclusion that people would say?
It's going to hell, why?
They would laugh at him, yes? Because there's no way this mobile phone can come into existence by mere chance. That's illogical and that's irrational. No matter how long period of time you had, that would never happen. So then you tell Ben, you know what, that's absurd. And he starts laughing. But you say, look, Ben, if that's absurd to something as simple as a mobile phone, what about us as human beings? Aren't we far more complex than the simple phone? And let's extend that further. What about this earth? What about this universe? Because if I can infer, using my logic, my rationale, that this mobile phone had a designer, someone who designed it and put it into production, without me even seeing the person who made this phone, and I came to that conclusion, and that conclusion is logical, is rational, is correct, then I can use that same train of thought for our existence. That is logical and rational. That makes far more sense than the example I gave you of it, coming by chance in the middle of the desert. Because that's the exact same example you're using when it comes to the universe, by chance. If there's a creator, who created the creator? So you use this example, say, look, you give them Surah class, you say, look, number one, we believe in uncreated creator. Make it very clear. God that is eternal, right? Has no beginning, has no end, has no parents, has no children, is unlike the creation and is one, right? So this God has no creator. Because let's say, for example, when it comes to this idea of believing in a creator that is created, it leads to a illogical conclusion. And this is actually mentioned by Allah in the Quran. There's an argument that Allah uses to address those people who deny His existence. And in fact, when it comes to atheism, it's not something that is predominantly mentioned in the Quran because it's an absurd position, right? Maybe one or two places you will find it. Because predominantly the people of the past, they always believed in some sort of higher force, superpower, right? So it's a modern day illogical sort of phenomena that is grown across the world, right? Because what Richard Dawkins said is that, with Darwin and the theory of Darwin, now we have he said we had this understanding or this inclination to atheism, but for the first time we are intellectually satisfied. Meaning that they didn't have no grounds for atheism in the past. And even, when you look at, the Darwinian mechanism for evolution, Brother Sabur Ahmed IERA, who focuses on this, you can easily break it down as well, right? But the point is that it's very rarely discussed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it is mentioned in an argument for the existence of God. Did Adnan cover this? The argument that Allah uses in the Quran for His existence.
Yeah.
What was it called?
He brought, I think, 2 verses.
It was 4 verses. Sorry, 2 verses. Yes. 4 sentences.
Yeah, 4 sentences, yes. Yeah.
What was this? What was the verse? Do you remember the? Yes, translate that.
Did the universe create itself?
Did they create from nothing? Or did they create themselves?
Yeah.
Or did they create the heavens and the earth? But they
Or are you the creator?
Rather, they are not certain.
Yeah.
So this is called the Quranic argument for the existence of God, which addresses your question, right? That there's the design argument, but you have the Quranic argument. The Quranic argument says, or were they created from nothing? Or were they the creators of themselves? Or did they create the heavens and the earth? Rather, they are not certain. And the scholars of Islam have said that you can break this argument down and use it to explain anything that begins to exist. 4 options. So we apply it to the universe, right? Because that encompasses all of creation. The first option, did the universe come from nothing? Second option, was the universe self-created? Third option, was the universe created by something created, like an alien? Fourth option, which is implied that the universe was created by something uncreated. So very quickly, can the universe be created from nothing? Why?
Nothing comes from nothing.
Exactly, it's illogical and irrational, right? We've never experienced nothing come from nothing, right? And when we mean nothing by nothing, we mean nothing without a cause. Very clear, because Allah mentions He creates from nothing, but He is the cause. Yeah, we're talking about without a cause. So it's like a pink elephant just pops into this room, right? Without a cause. It's illogical, it's irrational. Second option, it created itself. Maybe the universe created itself. You know? Okay, but they say, like, for example, have you heard of the theory of the multiverse? You have this toaster, right, and it just keeps on popping out universes, and it's just self-creating. And one of these universes had to have the exact right environment for life to exist. Why can't a universe create itself? In order for something to create itself, it has to be in existence and out of existence at the same time. That's a paradox, that's an oxymoron. You can't be in and out of existence at the same time. Yeah? It's as simple as that. So nothing can create itself. A universe can't create itself. So that's why Allah mentions that in the Quran. Right? Were they the creators of themselves? Of course not. You can't be in an existence and out of existence at the same time. It doesn't make any sense. So the third question, which is what the brother pointed up, is maybe the universe was created by something created. There are some religions like the Church of Scientology. Who's heard the Church of Scientology? Do you guys have that here?
Yeah.
You have it here? No way. Okay, so they do like the tests, and then they take all your money for going on courses, and you go different levels. But apparently if you go to the top level, they believe that this alien came and spawned life on the earth, right? That's their belief. How is that? How can we show that's an illogical and irrational idea? That something created or an alien created the universe. What's the problem with that statement? So if an alien created the universe, what's the problem? Exactly. If something created the universe, the next question is, who created the thing that created the alien that created the universe? Then the next question is, who created the thing that created the thing that created the alien that created the universe? Meaning you can't have an infinite regress of creators, yes? At some point you have to have the first point, the prime mover, the starting point. That's the most logical conclusion. Meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the uncreated, the eternal. That is the most logical conclusion, which is the fourth option, which is implied. Something that is uncreated. And a very simple example you can use to make this point is, imagine here in Durban you have public buses, right? Yes. That you pay with cash to get in, yeah? So imagine I'm at the bus stop and there's a queue, I'm at the front of the queue, I'm waiting for the bus, and the bus comes. And as I get onto the bus, I put my hands in my pocket and I oh flip, I forgot my wallet. I don't have any money. So I turn to the person behind me and say, I really want to ask you a favor. I'm really sorry, but can you lend me some change so I can get on to the bus? I really need to get home. It's an emergency. So the person behind says, they said, yeah, sure, no problem. I'll help you. But I need to ask the person behind me because I don't actually have extra change. Right? And they say the same thing. Imagine this goes on infinitely. Will I ever be able to get onto the bus? No. The same thing with creation. We're here. We have been created. Therefore, it must logically follow that there must be a creator, an uncreated first prime mover creator. That is uncreated. That is the last. That is the logical conclusion for the Quranic argument. Who can tell me where it is in the Quran? What's the reference? You know, when we're engaging with people of other faiths, especially Christians, you will see the Christians, they'll carry their Bible with them all the time. Yes? And unfortunately, from the dawah that I've seen in Africa, and I've only been to a few places, but I've seen this as a common trait, is that the duat, they know more Bible references than they know Quranic references. Yeah? This is not how to do dawah. We are not learning their book, right? Or promoting their book. We are promoting the Quran. And this is obviously a translation, right? But you want to speak to the people. So when you're using these examples, bring out the Quran and show it to them. Let me show you what it says in the Quran. Chapter 52, verses 35, 36. Let them read it as well, right? And this is the methodology that we need to employ. Same thing, Surah Ikhlas. Bring out your Quran. Show it to them. The Christians have been doing this for over a century, right? And we have the Quran, we have memorized it, and we're not using it. So please use the Quran. It's a powerful.
Very, very important.
Yes, and learn the verses. Very powerful. Again, remember the fitrah, what we said. The Quran is the most revelation is the most powerful way to uncloud. You have it, bring it out. Show them the verses. Play the Quran to them. Give them a copy of the Quran, because this is the most powerful form of dawah. So here is the Quranic argument for the existence of God. So here you can clearly show to an atheist that the logical conclusion for our existence is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And again, go back to Surah Ikhlas. So two examples, arguments we gave, the design argument and the Quranic argument, right? And it's important that once this course is over, that you go and revisit your notes, as a team, have a practice, maybe schedule where you practice having these conversations with each other so that you internalize the arguments that we're presenting here. Inshallah. Okay, so you've had that conversation with Ben, yeah? So you started with him being an atheist. Now you presented two arguments to him. Design argument, God's, the Quranic argument for God's existence, and he says to you, you know what? I never really thought about it like that. That actually makes sense. You know what? There must be a creator. So he's saying, yeah, there must be a creator. Right? So the next logical step that you want to move to now is, okay, if there's a creator, what is the nature of that creator? Right? And this is the oneness section. The oneness section speaks about who Allah is. So we covered this earlier at the beginning. How can you show the oneness or the tawheed of Allah? Give me some examples. Yes, brother.
Yeah, on the oneness part, suppose Ben is a Christian, and now as you are telling him about the oneness of Allah, the tawheed,
Yes.
he imposes, on you this question that Allah Ta'ala in some parts of the Quran, he uses the term we. So he wants you to explain that we. Because since we believe Allah is one, and all of a sudden, along the lines when it's written, it comes across we created.
Okay. I mean, that's a contention we can deal with, but let's stick to the main point and we'll come to the contentions. But how can you show the oneness of Allah? Yes.
Well, apart from extolling the virtues of Surah Al-Ikhlas.
Good. Surah Ikhlas, yeah? What number is Surah Ikhlas?
Chapter 110, 14.
112, yeah?
Which, if he doesn't believe, because he's not a Muslim, you can allow him to reason that if God is not one, if there are two or there are three, it's possible they have different taste, different will at a particular point in time. A God out of the two might want it to rain now, the other one doesn't want it to rain. The other one wants it to be dark, the other one wants it to be bright. So what happens? How does the conflict, how is it resolved? Because they cannot continue to be in agreement and in unison all the time, every time.
Yes.
Philosophically.
Yeah, you can use that example, but what if they say, well, I come from a Christian background, we believe in the Trinity, we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and they all work in unison. And when we look at the world, there's, doesn't seem to be any sort of that chaos that you're speaking about. So, it's fine. We have a Trinity and the world works fine.
Now we can just reason further that even in the Bible, there is evidence that Jesus doesn't want to die. He was praying to God, please save me. Now this other God wants him to die.
Okay, but let's not use the Bible, because he can come back with another verse and tell you, actually that contradicts what you just showed me. So now you're just cherry picking. Imagine someone from the Christian faith, and they do it sometimes, they come and say, you know what your Quran says there. Right? How do you feel? Honest. How do you feel normally? Your back goes up, yeah? Because they will misinterpret that verse. Right? So the same way, when you do that with the Bible, that's the same thing's going to happen, same reaction. How dare a Muslim come and tell me about my Bible? Yeah? You have to be sensitive to people's, what they're used to. But yes, if you do it in the right way. But again, what if they make that contention? There's a Trinity out there, and the world is working fine, and the universe is in order.
But Salahuddin, I'm sorry to say, this thing will make us to go back. If we don't agree that God is one, that there are two or three, then who created who among them? If we can identify that it's one that created the other ones are not God, that shows that God is one, because He's the one that created everything.
Yeah,
And
so
nothing can create itself, as we have agreed earlier.
nothing can create. So, but they all believe. You know the definition. Did Adnan go through the definition of the Trinity as spelled out by the Christian Church? Yeah, but what is the actual sentence? What was the sentence of the Trinity?
God the Son, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yes, and beyond that, they are what?
They are one.
They are co-eternal,
Yeah, but one is bigger than.
coexistence.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
this is from the Christian Church, right?
But one is bigger than the other.
One is bigger than the other.
Yeah.
Well, that's not what it states in their definition of the Trinity, yeah?
They say these three are one.
Yeah, they'll say these three are one. So look, the point is, at the end of the day, majority of humanity, they believe in one God, right? So it's the way you use it. So I would definitely use Surah Ikhlas, but rather than, sort of attacking their understanding, I think a more better way is to just explain Tawheed from our perspective, right? So give a better understanding who Allah is. That He is one, He's eternal, He begets not, nor is begot, and there is none like unto Him. Once you're aware that everything that you hold dear in your life, everything, your mother, your father, your academic qualifications, your job, your friends, the food that you eat, the country you're from, the area that you live in, the house that you live in, all of this is a gift from Allah. Then you get to know who Allah is truly. Then you need to begin to appreciate who Allah is. Know who Allah is. Everything exists because of Allah. Even the creation that is created of the products of the non-Muslims, it all belongs to Allah. When you die, you don't take any of these possessions with you, only your good deeds. Meaning the money that you hold in your pocket returns back to Allah. All you have is a trust. The possessions that you own don't belong to you. It's a trust given to you. Because when you die, they don't come with you. Meaning everything exists because of Allah. That's what it means to know Allah. Once you know who Allah is, that should lead you to loving who Allah is. Because if you love the stuff in your life, then you're going to love the one that gave it to you, right? So you should love Allah, man. That's what we mean by worship, to love Allah, to devote yourself to Allah, to adore Allah. And then once you know that everything is as a result of Allah, and you should love Allah, then Allah created us out of love and mercy, then we should obey Allah. Because whatever Allah commanded must be good for us. So we obey the commandments of Allah. Because Allah loves us so much, He gave us all of this, the commandments must be all good. So we obey Allah. Just like our parents, we love our parents. And when our parents tells us to do something, we do that out of obedience because we love our parents. Right? Same analogy. And finally, to single Allah out for all acts of worship. Yeah? That we do not attribute or misdirect this love or gratitude to someone else. That it solely belongs to Allah. Right? That it belongs to Allah. It doesn't belong to any other creator. And you know, unfortunately, most of humanity misdirect this gratitude or thanks. Everyone does it. Everyone misdirects this. For example, you guys watch football, yeah?
Yeah.
So, two of the best footballers in the world, they say, is it Lionel Messi or is it Cristiano Ronaldo, right? You heard of these names, yes? So who's better? So this argument. But whenever we see, for example, Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, they go through like 5 players, right? They do their twists and they turn and then they somehow beat the keeper and it's an amazing goal. And they run around the stadium. When we see that skill, we are amazed. We're like, wow, that was a really good goal. And then you would make, if you support the team Barcelona or Real Madrid, you like clap, you go, yes. You'd be happy, yes? Just like, you see Usain Bolt when he smashes the 100 meters record, you go, whoa, that man is fast. Yeah? You stand up, there's a standing ovation. But the question is, these people aren't responsible for themselves. When's the last time we did a standing ovation for the one who's responsible for all of this? And that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yeah? So that's what we mean, that we need to glorify Allah and single out acts of worship purely for Allah. Right? And it's people may say to you, okay, but there's so many religions out there and they all teach good and they all lead to the same thing. You hear this all the time, yeah?
Yes.
So what are you bothered for? Why are you telling me about Islam? All religions are good and they're all from God and they all lead to the same place because the people that are following that religion are good people. This is the problem. And an analogy you can use to show their thinking is wrong, because it sounds nice, right? People of different religions, yeah, they all come together, it's all nice. But this is a problem, because not only is it the biggest sin, you can use this analogy. Imagine for a second, me, Salahuddin Patel, that I'm a wealthy businessman, right, living in London, and I'm a billionaire. And I said, you know what, brothers and sisters? I'm going to give you all a gift. I'm going to give you all 10 million pounds. 10 million British pounds. Each of you are going to get 10 million British pounds. So tell me, what are you going to do with 10 million pounds? Tell me.
Build a mosque.
Build a mosque. Okay, the brother's trying to be pious. But come on, man, the money's yours. You can do whatever you want.
House.
Build a house, car.
Wife.
You what? Okay, mashallah, another pious, go for Hajj. Invest it, yeah?
Private thing.
Open a business, yeah? So, I give you 10 million pounds and you do whatever you want.
Can change everything.
You change everything, yeah? Mashallah.
Niyat can change.
But there's one